Hey there, I'm Chris Hassel. The NFL Draft, 5 weeks from tomorrow. We are now a full week into the 21 league year, and most of the top free agents have made their decisions. T.Y. Hilton making his today to return to Indianapolis and stick with the Colts. Let's take a look at Pete Prisco and Bryant McFadden in just a moment. T.Y. Hilton here, re-signing with the Colts. First 9 games versus the final 6, played much better at the end of the season for the Colts, who have a new quarterback once again, Carson Wentz, leading the charge for Indy next season. All right, now we've got Pete Prisco and Bryant McFadden. Pete, what does that do for you? T.Y. Hilton returning if you're Carson Wentz and Frank Reich.
Well, they needed to get him back. Look, you look at their offense, they don't have a lot of speed on the outside. He had one of his better years last year in terms of yards per catch at the age of 31. So that tells you there's still some juice left in the tank, and they need that. I mean, even bringing him back and Michael Pittman being in his second year, they got to get more out of Paris Campbell. They need more help outside. And you know, you get Carson Wentz, you need to get him some weapons outside. So I don't think he ends the pursuit of wide receivers, but it's smart to bring him back because he could still run a little bit and still provide somewhat of a deep threat.
And when you look at his standards, what he's been able to do throughout his professional career, Pete, he had a down year last year, but he still led the team in receiving yards, and he was tied for receiving touchdowns. And like you said, he has some juice left, I do believe, and I think having him pair up with Carson Wentz, a guy that has a strong arm, is wonderful for their offense. Michael Pittman Jr., we believe in due time he will be the #1 pass catcher, but I don't think you want to put that label on him just yet. So having T.Y. Hilton back in the Colts uniform is huge for their development as an entire wide receiver unit and the leadership that he brings to the entire offense. So you look at the three-headed monster from last year. You got Pittman, you got T.Y. Hilton, and Zach Pascal. All three guys combined for almost 1,900 yards receiving. So those are pretty good numbers, and like you said, if they can get something from Paris Campbell, if he can stay healthy, he is supposed to be the electrifying wide receiver target. He's the guy that can take the top off of coverages, but we just haven't been able to see him do so because he's been more injured than healthy.
All right, let's get to the world champs. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers bringing back just about everybody. They've recently re-signed Ndamukong Suh. They've restructured with Donovan Smith. B-Mac, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
No question, Chris, but I got a question. Where are they getting all this money from? Man, like the thing about this team right now and the scary thing going forward is that most championship teams, they lose their notable players. Most opposing teams pluck players away from championship teams. These guys in the Buccaneers, they've been able to retain all the key contributors from last year, and they gave Donovan Smith an extension. I mean, I don't know exactly what they're doing with their money, but whatever they're doing with their money, the other 31 teams in the National Football League need to steal their recipe. This was a huge addition. Yes, Suh, he's 34 years old, but he's been extremely durable. And when you look at what he means to that front, that defensive front, oh, by the way, they were #1 in rushing yards allowed. Pairing him up with Vita Vea, man, just look out. I mean, just look out. You know this team would be motivated because they have the ultimate leader on their team in Tom Brady. But getting all the key contributors back from last year was something I didn't think would happen. But this was a huge signing today. And now they can just get ready for the draft, right? Get ready for the draft. And oh, by the way, Donovan Smith and Tristan Wirfs, two bookend tackles that will protect Tom Brady. I mean, this is going to be a real fun year once again for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if everybody stays healthy.
You know what this shows you? It shows you that the cap works if you want it to work. You can fit anybody you want to under the cap. There's a way to make it work. And they did it with Donovan Smith's deal. What that is they've taken money from this year and moved it into later years, and they're voided out after a while, and it takes the cap hit and lessens it. Every team in the league is doing this. The voidable years have been big this free agency period, and the Bucs are doing it with him. And it's smart. I mean, this is a guy who played okay during the regular season, but came on in the postseason. You'd like to have your bookend tackles there, like you mentioned. But think about this: the Shaq Barrett's back, Levante David's back. You brought back Gronk. I think Antonio Brown will be next on a one-year deal. Suh's back. They've done a great job, and they should. It's time to go for another. You have Tom Brady there. How much longer is he going to play? 2 more years, maybe. So why not structure everybody's deal to go after another Super Bowl ring? It makes all the sense in the world.
But, Pete, I mean, what's the point in having a cap if it's not a real thing and you can just kind of work your way around it?
Well, that's been going on for years, Chris. If you're creative, you can make it work. You push money out, and we've seen that this free agency period with a lot of these deals. You can fit guys in if you want. Now, eventually, it will catch up to you. It does catch up to you, but when you have this nucleus together with Tom Brady playing at a high level and you still have a chance to go for it, restructure all the deals, finagle the money, make sure you get under the cap for this year and bring as many guys back, and that's what they've done.
From a noted finagler, Pete Prisco said, nothing wrong with the cap. It might catch up with you eventually, but for now, finagle away. Pete mentioned that they're likely going to bring back Antonio Brown on a 1-year deal. B-Mac, what do you think about Brown and maybe even Fournette potentially returning?
Yeah, those 2 players, clearly Fournette is the wild card. I do believe they will bring back Antonio Brown to continue to improve the depth element at the wide receiver position, but I'm not quite sure with Leonard Fournette. I think when we look at the first-round position they're currently in, I think they're in the bottom half of the first round, clearly the one at the championship. I wouldn't be surprised to see who's available at the running back position. They may go out and select their running back in the first round or pass rusher. So looking at both players, I see Antonio Brown more likely to return to Tampa than Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, I think they're going to draft a running back, and if Travis Etienne is there, good luck for the rest of the defenses in the NFL. I mean, that would be a great pick for that offense. That's what that offense lacks. The home run threat every time he touches the ball out of the backfield. He's also really good in the passing game. We know how Tom Brady loves having receivers, backs who can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think they will pass on Leonard Fournette and maybe draft one of these electrifying running backs with the 32nd pick in the first round. And as far as Antonio Brown, who else will bring him in? He worked in Tampa. I think it'll work again on a 1-year deal.
Ryan Wilson has the Bucs taking Najee Harris with the last pick in the first round. In his latest mock, he had Travis Etienne going in the teens, so was not there for the Bucs to take in his latest mock. All right, let's move on to the Patriots. Pete, you're the running back guy. They're bringing in a ton of guys, but they're not letting James White walk. They're bringing him back on a 1-year deal. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's a smart move. James White is a pro's pro. He's good in the locker room. He's good with the players. We know what he went through last year with the tragic accident with his father passing away and his mother suffering all kinds of injuries. And James White has been a good part of their organization, and he still can catch the ball out of the backfield, be that third down back. So on a 1-year deal, a minimal deal for a running back, I think that makes all the sense in the world for them. Look, they are going for it as well. If they can figure out Cam Newton and get him playing at a high level again, they have a lot of talent on that team now. And this is a team that could push the Bills for the division, but also push for a lot more if Cam Newton's the quarterback and if he takes another big step forward.
Yeah, this move makes sense. You know what I mean? And I heard that Tampa was trying to lure James White back to his home state, which would have been huge for their offense. But he's been the ideal third down running back option for their offense majority of his career there at New England. He gives Cam Newton another reliable pass catcher, especially in third and medium like situations. And I just think he just fits New England. You know, he's the, like you said, Pete, he's the pro's pro. He's meant a lot to that organization, and seeing what they're trying to do, especially at the running back position, you know, I mean, they got some young pieces there, but I think being able to have a guy like James White that can do a little bit of everything for your offense is good for their offense, and is also good for the quarterback in Cam Newton.
His targets took a hit with Cam Newton last season. They went from 95 the year before to 62 targets this past season. Another running back news, Damien Williams. He has a new home after sitting last season out with the Chiefs. The Bears, Pete, bringing him in to join David Montgomery in that backfield, and Williams does have history with Bears offensive coordinator Bill Lazor.
Yeah, and also with Matt Nagy. I mean, they know each other, and I think, again, you look at a these teams nowadays, there's not really a lot of teams that are going to sit there and say we got one guy, because it's running back by committee, which is why a lot of the contracts have come down in terms of value. I don't think you're going to see those mega contracts as much anymore, because you run the ball by committee. You look at these teams. Look at last year. The Super Bowl winner had two guys out of the backfield, had Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. And you look at the Chiefs the year before when they won it. It was running back by committee. And Damien Williams was one of those guys. So I think the days of the primary lead running back being a guy who carries the ball, 25 times a game, I don't think those are here much longer. And I also don't think you're going to see a lot of mega contracts on second deals for running backs anymore.
And Damien's a guy that people forgot about. That championship run, especially the Super Bowl, many people felt like he should have won the MVP because of what he was able to do for the Kansas City Chiefs offense. But he opted out. And when he opted out, life went on. So hearing him sign this one-year deal, I'm not surprised of the deal. I am a bit surprised with the destination. And the reason why I say that, David Montgomery, extremely young still, had his first 1,000-yard season. I don't see him slowing down. You get a healthy Tariq Cohen, he's the ideal third down back. So this is mostly a depth addition for the Chicago Bears. You go from starting for the champions in the Kansas City Chiefs, winning a Super Bowl, arguably being the best offensive player in that ball game, to now just providing depth. So who knows? But like you said, Pete, when you look at the National Football League, when you look at the offenses over the last few years, you have to have reliable depth in the backfield, because in any given moment, key guys could get injured. And if you don't have reliable guys to rely on, your offense will struggle. And
Andy Dalton going to be the starting quarterback there. He was with the Cowboys last season. Dallas not bringing back Aldon Smith. B-Mac, he had a great start to this past season, returning from a really long, years-long suspension. Ran out of gas late. Do you trust him having the full offseason under his belt and some games to be with you and really hold things down for an entire season on the field?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, when you look at Aldon Smith, he had a 5-year hiatus away from the game. Signed this season, played in 16 ball games, had 5 sacks, almost 50 tackles, and he led their defense in quarterback hits. So for the Cowboys to say, no, we're good, either Aldon was asking for too much money, or the Cowboys believe they have the personnel to be better without Aldon Smith. And if that's the case, it does not make any sense, because like you said, Chris, the man was away from the game for 5 years, and he was able to give you production. He didn't blow you away with his sack numbers, but he caused pressure. He got to the quarterback. He tackled the ball carrier. So me personally, if he wasn't asking for a crazy number with the contract, why not bring him back? Allow him to go through the motions the entire offseason. Because I say this, if he can go through an entire offseason, that every number he was able to provide, the sacks, the tackles, the pressures, I think would increase, because he's that type of talent. So this move doesn't make any sense to me, especially if Aldon was not asking for a crazy amount of money.
Yeah, I would have bring him back on a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal with minimal money. I wouldn't pay him a big contract because I'd want to see it again. But again, we don't know the specifics of whether he was asking for more money than they were willing to spend. But as far as their pass rush goes, they don't have a great pass rush right now. So from a football standpoint, it really doesn't make sense unless it's about the money. It's a great story. Let's hope that somebody else picks him up. This guy has turned his life around, seemingly, and he's did a great job with it last year. Let's hope it stays that way. Somebody picks him up, because he can still help a team that needs a guy who can rush the passer off the edge.
All right, that's Pete Prisco and Bryant McFadden here on HQ. You can hear Bryant on the All Things Covered podcast with his buddy Patrick Peterson, and Jameis Winston is joining him on the latest episode, which you can download now. Winston talking about his future as a potential starter with the Saints and what he thought of his former team, the Bucs, winning it all. Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.